All righty, we'll call to order the Town of Weddington regular planning board meeting, Monday, April 27th at 7 p.m. We do have a determination of a quorum. Everybody's present. Great to see. Conflict of interest statement. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid conflicts of interest. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest with respect to any matters on the agenda? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any participation in the matter involved.
No.
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 No. Awesome. All right, moving forward, approval of minutes for March the 23rd of 2026, regular planning board meeting. Motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the March 23rd, 2026 regular planning board meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving to public comments. Individuals are allowed 3 minutes to speak and must only comment on current agenda items. A maximum of 30 minutes is allocated to the public comment period. The time limit may be extended at the discretion of the chairman. And on the list today is we have Mr. Chad.
Good evening, Chad and Ryan, Eagle Road. Earlier today, I emailed the board a couple comments on the Grandview project, but I wanted to mention a couple other items that indicate this application is not complete. First, I'd like confirmation this plan was reviewed by Labella before coming to the planning board.
It was.
Okay. My understanding is that level is expected for all moving forward. Second, I did not see detailed stormwater calculations included in the materials. SCMs are shown without the supporting calculations are necessary to verify these are properly sized. Third, I did not see a tree survey included in the submission. Fourth, regarding sewer capacity, the letter from Union County Public Works indicates the sketch plan did not pass due to incomplete modeling. Appendix 2B also references improvement permits and/or potential sewer extensions. This raises two concerns. First, we have a precedent. When Beechwood proposal was on the site, the board tabled the application until the sewer review and conditional approval were completed. Second, final sewer alignment could directly impact the stormwater in the placement of the SMs. The plans themselves note that the easements cannot be finalized until Union County approves the alignment, which is dependent on the modeling. Union County has indicated those will be complete in the next couple weeks. Lastly, we have the school email with just a confirmation instead of the impact report. The impact report is what is intended with the 2B requirement. We need to adjust the wording so that's clear. Residents care greatly about knowing school capacity and if we're going to be close to potential redistricting or face more overcrowding. With this, I ask that the board table this application until these items are resolved. Advancing a project with missing or incomplete items cannot continue. Overall, this appears to be a strong project that could be a good fit, but only if it fully complies with our requirements. Lastly, I want to talk about the UDO amendment related to chicken coops. Last council meeting, Councilman Tom Smith mentioned a 6-hen limit. However, I can't find any such provision in our current ordinances. As written, the UDO treats chickens as an agricultural use with a large setback, effectively limiting them to larger properties. If the town's considering allowing chickens on residential lots, this needs a more comprehensive approach than just changing the buffer. That should include clear limits on the number of hens, prohibition on roosters, defined setbacks of appropriate for residential versus agricultural, and restrictions on the coop size. We already have detailed standards for horses, and the same level of clarity should apply here. So I'm asking that you table that until additional research and more complete standards are developed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chad. That concludes the public comments portion. Moving on, we do not have any old business. as of tonight. So we'll move down to new business. A, discussion and possible recommendation of an application by Signature Properties of the Carolinas LLC requesting conditional zoning approval for the development of a 37-lot, conventional subdivision located at the intersection of Providence Road and Ray Road.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Planning Board. This is a application for a 37-lot subdivision at the very prominent location of the intersection of Providence Road and Ray Road. There have been multiple proposals on this property. It's probably the highest value site within the town that is left undeveloped. Previous proposals were the Liberty Classical Academy, as well as a proposal by Beechwood Homes at this location. Neither came to fruition. The latter was not approved because they had not obtained sewer access to adjacent property to serve this proposal. So this is about 78 acres, again, located at Providence and Ray. It basically has one main access point, which is located off Providence Road. And after several revisions since the community meeting, it has an emergency access on Ray Road. This is not a street. This would be composite stone kind of access for emergency purposes only. This would not be accessed by the residents. It would be simply for the purpose of fire trucks or EMS if the Providence Road intersection was blocked. This road is private. It does provide basically what could be described as a neighborhood green at the entrance point of the property, as well as an excess of open space. Approximately 32% of the property is provided as open space, which the requirement, which was previously 10%, and now with current standards 20%. So this exceeds that requirement. After that, another 50%. As shown, as some of you have pointed out to me in emails or other correspondence, you'd like to see the distinction between steep slopes, floodway or other impediments as defined by our UDO on this property that are provided as an accessory exhibit in the slide that today. And so it's not in kits. If you have questions on that, the applicant is here and can speak to that. Brett, who is with Isaacs Group, he is not available today. He's not here today. But Mr. Isaacs is actually here, so he can speak to those matters. As well as Mr. Grand, who's in the front row here, he can speak to this project as well. Largely speaking, this is a large lot subdivision, which more than meets kind of some of the open space requirements we have. It is basically defined by the large one ingress egress entrance off of Providence. So it's kind of one loop road, but this stub road located right here, as defined by the UDO, this starts the measurement of the cul-de-sac. And so it is not a violation of the UDO in regards to cul-de-sac length based on this stub out. They do not own or have not obtained access to this property. They have good relations with this adjacent neighbor, as I understand. However, this portion of land is not involved in the proposal. We are strictly looking at kind of the hexagon shape that's shown on your screen and involved in your packets. Some of the concerns that staff had with this project was basically the landscaping of the 100-foot thoroughfare buffer. So I'm sure you all have driven down Ray and Providence many times, being residents of Weddington. The Providence portion has some mature trees, some canopy trees, as well as some landscaping as provided by the recent, relatively recent modifications to Providence Road and widening of Providence Road. So that's pretty heavily landscaped. However, the Ray Road side, that's about to undergo significant changes, but those tree species are mainly pine trees, and so they can be a little sparse. They're not necessarily the canopy trees that we talk about in our tree ordinance. It is still heavily wooded. It is still existing landscaping, but one of the recommendations the staff had made in the staff report was to see a visual representation of that. That has also been provided since contacting the applicant based on some of you guys' feedback, and I can provide that slide as well. But basically, the two things we looked at and the two things that I had recommended was seeing what this looked like in a 3D rendering or a landscape plan, as well as, and I can pull this slide up as well, this right here. So this is the improved version. This is the new version. It's provided by the applicant, but staff had significant concerns that this storm drain easement or SDE was infringing on the 100-foot thoroughfare buffer. So application existed and was submitted some 20-some days ago. This limit of disturbance, this disturbance of trees and other things, ground, would have fallen within this 100-foot limit, which would not be in compliance with our UDO. Unfortunately, this happens all the time. People will say that they provide the thoroughfare buffer and then they'll provide documents later. It shows they're trying to infringe on that area. That is not code compliant. So my strongest recommendation was this needed to be moved outside. This limit of disturbance needed to be moved outside of the 100-foot thoroughfare buffer. As you can see by this exhibit here on your screen, for our viewers on YouTube or people on the lights, you can see that this has now been moved slightly back to be located on private property rather than within the common open space to meet our code requirements. And again, the other exhibit, there's several that have been provided. Here's some landscaping on the entrance. But here's kind of a representation of what Ray Road would look like from the applicant. You can see that there'd be a kind of a walled fence with some masonry near the intersection of Ray and Providence. The actual intersection of Ray and Providence is a utility easement, so that's not involved in the landscaping. But you can see that some supplemental plantings will be provided along the roadway here, as well as this, some of the landscaping near the entrance, landscaping that's provided on Ray Road. This is the total site landscaping plan that was submitted again today by the applicant that shows street trees are provided, landscaping along Providence and landscaping on Ray, in addition to the existing trees that are submitted. With the submittal, this is a hugely impactful project for the town of Weddington. Again, there's been multiple proposals at this location, and none of them have come into fruition because this is basically the front door of Weddington. This is the most visible intersection as it exists today. It will be even more so when the Ray Road extension punches through on the other side of this. So thousands and thousands of people will cross this intersection every day. Mr. Graham, to give credit to our Mayor Bell, has basically been handpicked to develop this property. When I first met with the engineers with the Isaacs Group and Mr. Graham, I was assured that Tom Smith and Jim Bell had already met with him privately to discuss this matter, and that everything was going to be according to plan and everything was going to be to the town of Weddington's preferences. And so this site, which was previously called Bellevue, has been very, very strategically planned with or without the planning department's knowledge for some time. So with that, I think there are still some questions that I can answer or that the developer can answer regarding this site. But I do think that these lots more than exceed the 1 acre requirement, more than exceed the open space requirement, more than exceed the landscaping requirement, and are in keeping with the character that our residents and our most vocal residents have asked for in regards to a subdivision proposal in the town of Weddington. So with that, I'll be available for any questions or comments you may have.
I got a question for you, Greg. You have an appendix 2B in the package, and it's got red and green checks in it. What's the significance, if any, to those?
That was as submitted by the applicant. That is not
Okay,
my
that's-
information.
So let me ask the applicant, what's the significance to that?
So we had, okay. So that was an internal checklist, and we had 2 engineers checking it for different things. So Brent was red and Anthony was green.
So that's your own control.
Right.
Did we get a new plan set? I thought we just got the pictures. We actually got a new. Did you show a different plan just now, or did you just say they moved it
So
with the storm drain?
this was submitted today.
So this is
I've-
not in the packet.
I have
Correct.
not seen that. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I did not see that.
So another thing that was in the omitted in that packet, and of course, this kind of helps. I understand that there was a landscape plan that was omitted from the packet, which is why we also in that checklist, which was not checked, there was not a table of contents, which would have helped identify if that were the case in the packet. The other reason for the table of contents is that we don't want once this board approves this, there should be no additional modifications between the time it leaves this board and it goes to the town council.
Our cover sheet has a index of sheets on it, which is what we call a table of contents.
Okay.
So that's on the resubmittal.
That's on the additional submittal that came in today,
Yes.
which I have not seen.
I haven't seen it. I had initially had said that postponing this, or I may have used incorrect words on table, but due to missing items. So with the new plan set, there was a couple boxes. There was a checked box about the calcs, and I know that everybody's either been presenting their HEC-RAS or some kind of HydroCAD. Did that make it to this submittal as well? Or the new plan set?
It did. So we worked with Labella and provided them built upon area calculations and time of concentration and sizing, preliminary sizing of the basins. So that we went back and forth with Robert Wilson. He had various comments. We revised and reissued, and he's satisfied with it. So we did do sizing of the basins. They are adequately sized.
And then the you said that Bob did provide a staff or a labella.
So again, this is not ideal circumstances. There's several reasons for this, but at 6:03 p.m. today, Monday, April 27th, 2026, Bob responded to Brent, the engineer with Isaacs Group, stating, quote, "Brent, the updated schematic plan for Grandview addressed our concerns regarding the stormwater design. We have no further comments on the schematic plan and no objection for approval of the conditional zoning of the project. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns." I'll here circulate this amongst the board. Listen, I'm tired of some of the BS that's going on with planning in general in this town, and I'm gonna speak frankly. This is not how I like to do business. I don't like to get revisions at the last second. But I am happy that the applicant was responsive to some of the questions and concerns that I had and the planning board had when I sent out my staff report on Wednesday and Thursday. And they have responded to some of those concerns and questions. Those questions and concerns were addressed today, which is the day of the meeting, which means that it can't be included in your packet and is not appropriate. You shouldn't amend an agenda or a packet, certainly within 24 hours of a meeting. So y'all can take this or leave this as adequate. You can table it, or you can say, like, I feel satisfied with the information that I've been provided, but this is not included in your packet at this time. But they have made attempts in a very hasty manner to address some of the concerns that we had.
With all due consideration to the applicant and to the designer, I'm going to make a motion that we table this application until such time as you can present to us a complete packet and that we have had time to review prior to our meeting.
Comment?
You may comment.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Number one, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. Just a little clarification. We do a lot of work in a lot of towns and like to think we're pretty good at what we do. Just to speak frankly, we submitted this 3 weeks ago and have been looking for input. We did not get any input until an email from staff last Thursday, which was 2 business days before the meeting tonight. This team, my team, jumped through hoops and hurdles to respond to those concerns immediately. A landscape plan, the 3D image was previously submitted separately, may not have been in the package, but it was submitted. The email that we just got at 6 tonight from Bob with Labella was just in response to something I learned as of 4 o'clock this afternoon. We did not realize that letter was a requirement. We don't see it in the Appendix 2B. But
It is not codified as of this date.
So
That is not a requirement.
So we've been reacting to things that we hear like 2 or 3 hours before this meeting. So I want everybody to understand, we're good at what we do. We take it serious. We don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste our time. We have poured over Appendix 2B, and Chris and his team are very, very good engineers, and we felt like we submitted a complete package. Had we had some timely response several weeks ago and the courtesy of a response, we would have addressed this and had it in your package long before today. Trust me. But we didn't hear anything until Thursday afternoon. That's 2 business days before tonight. And respectfully, I hear what you're saying, and Mr. Setzer, and we would prefer you not to defer it. We feel like the package is complete. It's unfortunate that you haven't had time to look at it, and I understand it was all last minute, but it wasn't. I'm not making excuses, just want y'all to know it wasn't our fault. It wasn't Isaac's fault. We did everything correctly, and we responded in lightning speed when we heard the first comment of what might not be complete. So just wanted to share with you that this last minute stuff didn't just happen willy-nilly. It happened for a good reason. We just found out. And while I'm here, I'll say this, we want this to be the poster child project of Weddington. It is a prime corner and very exposed, as Greg said. And we feel like we're going to do it, certainly do it justice. And it's going to be, we want this to be the project that Weddington points to and says, hey, yeah, that's the kind of project we like. And there's no excuse for not having things in the package, not having things done, but just want to let you know that there was a reason for it and it's all there. And I would ask that you reconsider and look, we're here, we can answer questions. Labella has looked at this. Bob was happy with it weeks ago. We just got that email from him again tonight to reiterate that when we heard a concern this afternoon. And so nothing's really last minute. This has been designed and presented for quite a long time. So we don't feel it's our fault that some things just got here this afternoon.
I appreciate the comments, and we've had some discussions. Greg and I have had some discussions, and the concerns I have that I picked up on were addressed. Even though they came in at the last minute, they were addressed. My biggest concern was, I call it the letter from Bob, which is, as Greg said, is not a requirement right now. It is going to come up later in this meeting as a requirement going forward. And I feel good because the letter from Bob is there. There was one there on the TIA, but there wasn't one there on stormwater, and stormwater is our biggest issue. A question I have, which is really for the other planning board members, are there other things that any of you have identified as shortfalls or missing? We don't have to go into great detail, but to me if we table this, it's like, hey, here's some other things that we feel are missing,
Well, I mean, identified in the package is the 2 points of egress issue.
right?
The tree survey definitely doesn't follow our UDO with Q. They did do a heritage end of the mitigation, but the actual tree survey. And again, I would just say, for consistency, if we're holding every developer to these standards, there shouldn't be a leeway of accepting them. And again, some of this is checked, and I get it, that didn't make it, but the tree save was checked, and I seen you had Lynn's group do the tree survey for the heritage, but in that tree survey, in our D17Q, it asked for 6 inches or greater, dogwoods 5 inches or greater to be represented and seen from a canopy and preservation standpoint. So again, I am just looking for us to stay consistent from everybody across the board as to what we're asking
And
and what we're seeing. And I did not have time to look at this. If it came this afternoon, I apologize, but I also wouldn't think that that'd be a good way for us to do business
okay,
either.
and I understand. But once again, just on the tree survey issue, I have Lisa Gaffney here with Lynn's group, who is a very experienced biologist who has done tons of tree surveys for
Not
many,
doubting
many
her
years.
work at all.
Yeah.
Just that it's
And,
not.
and what we did explore this and discuss this at length with staff weeks ago about the way we did the tree survey. We did, I don't know what it's called, Lisa, but we did block surveys and averages she did extensive work out there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it would be very nice if we had the opportunity to explain this to you, because it's all there.
Yeah, she did an excellent job.
Yes.
I'm like, Chris, I don't question it at all. She broke it down to what she calls Group A in the package, which was disturbed areas.
Right.
And then she had another, I'll call it the all other, the undisturbed areas. And that would include buffers, setbacks, open space. And so that she approached it that way, which brings me to another thing I think that's missing that we require from everybody is the building pads with setbacks.
That is
So you've
correct
got,
as well.
you've got the lot laid out, but you don't have the building pad where, not the house itself, but the setback area to where the house would be placed anywhere in there. And that also would come into play when you're looking at undisturbed areas.
Well,
I
remember,
think you've got the building envelope staff
Right.
from the whole
Yeah.
lot, but like a representation of house pad to relationship to, and mainly on your your grading plan. We get it. This house is custom,
right, that's right. Yes, sir.
It's-
That's right.
meant to fit.
That's
but,
right.
I would still say we're giving everybody else the routine of seeing it, just so then we can see if it does conflict, or if you took into account topographic and you move this house back, we just get to see it in relationship to the site is, I guess, what I'm getting at. But
Yeah, you've got it, Chris. These are large lots wooded and they're all going to be custom and we're not going to mass clear or grade anything. They're going to be left treed for the owner and contractor to specifically clear the driveway and house site and leave a lot of trees on the actual lots themselves.
Yeah, so again, I think unfortunate circumstances are here, but I feel like as a board, it just is getting rushed in, and I appreciate your hard work and your expediency to get things, but I don't know that I could say without looking at it that what changed, didn't change. Because I definitely have been looking over the other plan and had it, so.
Yeah.
That's kind of my stance on it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we have a motion,
We do have a motion.
all right? I'll second the motion.
Well, are we going to have discussion before we vote on the motion? I mean, I don't know if anyone else wants discussion, but part of my discussion was on the motion. I'm not saying whether I'm for or against it, but as look at the motion are there, to clarify, if they come back in 30 days, it's like, oh, we didn't say this, and it wasn't communicated or picked up by Greg or the applicant. That's what I was trying to get at.
Bill, this will be my stance on that. It's not up to us to tell the applicant what's in the UDO. It's up to the applicant to do their own research for that.
I agree.
And again, I appreciate what you guys have gone through. I appreciate all the hoop jumping. The problem, from my perspective, that this board has is that we need to pass and provide the town council a complete packet. And from the time it leaves this planning board and goes to the town council, it should not be modified again. And right now we have items that many board members have not yet had time to even look at. And we don't know what's in that. And so putting together a packet would be a piecemeal at best and be after the fact. So that is truly why, again, from what I've seen of the project, I like the project. I think it's a great use of the property. And again, this is my personal opinion.
And I'm going to go to Mr. Graham's statement about being the poster child. I think this sets up from start to finish being our end too, getting handled right. And we're not leaving it up so that when it comes out of here and goes to council, it's confident that it has been thoroughly vetted and transparent. Now, I did say that if anybody had kind of additional comments or something, I think with enough time, send them the issues that we have that you get time to address or look at and be ready for on the next one. I know one of them is the 2 points of ingress, egress. So again, kind of getting those things to get a ducks in a row would be helpful. But
Mr.
I
Chairman,
agree.
if I may, I know Mr. Graham is aggrieved over here, but I want to clarify some of my statements and the things I provided in my report. So my one recommendation was that the storm drainage easement SDE be moved outside of the 100-foot thoroughfare buffer. That is non-negotiable. That is important, and they have done that. That does not make an incomplete application. I provided an email to Mr. Falk, and I would reiterate on record the court case last year in Ashe County, North Carolina, which clearly states what a complete or incomplete application is. I'm going to, on my dying breath, reiterate and describe that court case at the next town council meeting if I am so availed. Just because something is wrong does not mean it is incomplete. It means you have to address it, note that it needs correction, and recommend that it be corrected. So they are not incomplete for that item. They need it to be modified. So I generously stated that as a condition of approval, that they move it over a couple feet. They have easily accommodated that. However, it was non-compliant at the time of application. I have been told by my bosses that we can't do conditions anymore. And that's absolutely ridiculous. That is absurd that a planning board can't put conditions on a project. And I am embarrassed for y'all. I'm embarrassed as a staffer, and I'm going to say a lot more things later. But to say that we can't put conditions on the project as a planning board, that is by statute your job.
Well, maybe
As a
I'm
planning
using
board. I'm not done.
incomplete.
Excuse me, sir. I'm not done. I have a lot of things to say. Second of all, the landscape plan is a recommendation that I put on every project. That is not a code requirement. That's just the right thing to do so that the people who are looking at this project know what it's going to look like. So if we're missing a 3D rendering of what trees look like, that is not a UDO violation. That's a nice thing to have. And we have asked every applicant to do that, and they have graciously done that. This applicant has graciously done that. And so you didn't get it in time, and that's worthy of tabling the item. But I would like to address on record that having a 3D rendering of what a subdivision looks like is an ask. It's a nice thing to have. It is not a requirement. It's above and beyond what zoning is. A lot of things that we ask for people are above and beyond what zoning is. Third, I'd like to address that they didn't hear about this till Thursday. They have no obligation to hear from me about what's deficient. You send me an application, you tell me it's complete. If it's deemed complete, then I'll tell you what's wrong with it, and I'll put in a staff report, and I'll tell you about it tonight. It's not my job to tell you that this project has to be perfect. If I had to bring a perfect project to you every time, which is what's being asked of me, then why do you exist? Why does this board exist? Why are you volunteering your time, your valuable time, if I can only present to you perfect projects? I will always have critiques and recommendations of a project. Any planner, my successor, the next planner who's going to work here is going to have helpful critiques and criticisms of a project. And they're not going to say, oh, I can't bring it to you in April because I have some concerns about it. I'm going to delay your project 2 months and cost you thousands and tens of thousands of dollars because I want the trees to be green instead of, you know, that's not how planning works. That's not how zoning works. If y'all want to table this, I completely understand that, but I feel very confident that this could be approved in a special called meeting or in the next month based on the information that I have received and that I've shown you tonight. This project should be held to every standard that every other project has, including by Toll Brothers. I'll say their name again, Toll Brothers. Every project is held to the same exact standards by staff. So this is not a preferential project. This is not a special project. Every case is exactly the same. So if you feel that something's missing, request that information for tonight. They're going to provide it to you next month, and it's going to get passed. Thank you.
So we still have a motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman, and it's been seconded, I believe.
Yep. We've got a second to the motion.
So we can't, because I've got questions that don't even revolve around 2B, but I guess I can't ask those anymore if we don't have a discussion on this.
Well, that's what I was talking about, the discussion portion. We jumped real quick to a second, but normally it's any discussion. And then when discussion,
I'm just,
You have
I
1
under,
month to bring up your.
I under, only if we table it.
That's right, only if we take.
So we got a motion. We got a second. We want to vote.
is the motion to table for well, I want to say 30 days to the next planning board meeting?
That's what the motion was.
That's the motion.
Well, technically, the motion was till such time that everything is
Is a-
complete.
Yes.
So if you all opt
Completed.
to have a special meeting, you can do that.
Okay.
So, all right. Okay, well, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the motion and say if the applicant can provide what I will call the missing portions of the application And we could schedule a special planning board meeting to address that and maybe keep this on track for a council meeting. I know, my opinion is, and believe me, we've had some major issues over the last 2.5 years, and I think we've done an awful lot to address it, to fix it. That's why we put all this effort into 2B, saying this is what you need, trying to bring clarity. We've added clarity to the ordinance. And, you know, I've heard comments, we don't have to get back, I'll say staff, doesn't have to get back to the applicant, or we don't have to tell them what's missing or something like that. But at the same time, I feel our role is also to help the applicant bring this to the proper conclusion, whether that's good or bad. So my motion is,
Disagree with that statement. I
okay,
don't believe I should be involved with letting them, giving my input for them to design or what they need to do.
well, I'm not
Or
saying,
maybe
I'm
the
not saying give
plan.
them input to design. It's like we're saying on here, we will be discussing later on. We'd like a head nod from Bob Wilson on the stormwater plan. I'm not telling them how to do their stormwater plan, what it needs to be, but you need a letter from Bob. We don't tell them if you need a TIA. That's something they gotta figure out. We do say you've got to have a tree ordinance. So I'm, you know, maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but, you know, my motion would be get the quote missing. I hate to use the term missing with Greg sitting right to my left there.
Missing's better than incomplete.
Pardon?
Missing is better than stating incomplete.
Okay, so my amended motion would be to get the missing information, and the planning board would schedule a special meeting to address it in time before the next council meeting.
So a friendly amendment has to be agreed upon by the original motion presenter. Is that correct?
No.
That's correct. That is correct.
You need a second to the motion. It's voted on. If it's approved, the original motion is moot. If it's not approved, then it's like peeling back an onion. Then you go to the original motion.
I don't think that's right. I think that's a separate, I think if you made a separate motion, that's the way it would go. But if you're making a friendly amendment to Rusty has to agree to have it as part of his motion. Yay, nay?
I have to look that up. That's deep.
This just is already getting,
So why don't we do this? Why don't we vote on the original motion, and then if it passes or fails, we can make another motion. Or we can we can ask questions, or
Rusty's motion does not give a time frame. So if something happens and you're able to call a special meeting, my concern, if you're worried about, if you're trying to get this for the next council meeting, is that I won't have time for public notice to go out for the next council meeting. So
I mean, I'm not worried about that either. I'm not worried about that.
They wouldn't be on the next.
I mean, we get
council meeting.
chastised for rushing things through, so I feel like we're kind of.
Okay, we need a parliamentarian.
We don't have one.
I'm looking at
That, we can do, I mean, we can do it, we can, whatever, if you think your way is right, we can do it that way, and then after the fact, if it is,
Mr. Chairman, point of order. There's been a motion made. It's been
And a
seconded.
second.
Okay,
I
have
call the vote.
the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4 to 2. All
Oh,
in
you gotta
favor?
say all opposed, yeah.
All
okay.
opposed. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. That was interesting. So,
I have right that Scott and Bill opposed the motion.
correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move to the next one. B, discussion and possible recommendation of text amendment 2026-3, Appendix 2B. Town engineer review of zoning schematic plans. All right, we'll let Greg take it away.
per our previous discussion, the town engineer, which is Bob Wilson with LaBella Associates, would hereby be required to review and provide a written recommendation for any future application, period.
All right, any discussion from the board members?
Yes, there is the term, trying to scroll down and get to that particular piece of information right now. Here we go. It says that confirming that they have reviewed the application and I'd like to have the words "and on a preliminary basis" removed.
What page is that?
That is in the packet is page 115. LaBella should be doing their review, my opinion, before it comes to the board. When we bring it here and we vote on it and it leaves this board, it should be going to the town council and should not be modified. That's what we're here to do. That's one reason and from y'all's standpoint, so talked about having a table of contents. That is another good reason I want the table of contents. So put that in there. I helped write that 2B revision for schematic plans, and I want that table of contents in there with the initial issue date and any revision date, so that we can look at that and go, this is what was submitted, this is what was approved, this is what went to the town council.
On a question on that, can I just read this out just so I understand what you're saying? A written recommendation by the town engineer confirming they have reviewed the application and that the plans meet the intent of UDO regarding stormwater flow and SCM facilities.
That is correct.
So are we saying there could be changes or adjustments as the building permits are issued and we go through that process, but they should be minimal?
They should be minimal at that point in time. Again, we talked about this when we talked about rewriting, when we rewrote this table, this 2B appendix. If they go out there and they hit rock in an area and they need to move it 6 to 8 feet one way or the other because they have to, there's all kinds of things, bad soils, things you're going to encounter during construction. If they move it 40 feet that direction and take out 16 more trees, that is where we need to be.
So if we're saying there are changes, and there could be changes, they should be minimal changes. Minimal changes won't come back to the planning board.
That's correct.
They're addressed by the planner. So when you say they're final and they don't change between now and the council, I guess I'm looking for some clarification.
This is the review by LaBella
Right.
that is required prior to the planning board or town council. In other words, this is not a preliminary review. This is the LaBella review.
And he can't,
Well,
and he
but-
can't know there's rocks underground.
Isn't, well, that, like you
Right.
said, that's going to be a minor adjustment.
Right, but
it is-
LaBella won't know that when he does his review. He'll say it's good. It's good to go.
Based on the plan that's here, it's good.
And
Yeah.
from an engineering
Open the
standpoint,
map.
I think that Bob would say, or what's it's not, I don't want to use the word preliminary, but there is a lot of things that he could easily say that this is obtainable to be addressed in CDs, not at the CZ situation. And I think that would be enough for me to say that he's looked at it and knows it can be overcome. Whether that be you showing a head wall and he turns it to an FES or.
He's saying there's no big issues
Correct,
for you at the planning board level.
Right.
And
correct.
if you run into that situation, that's got to come back to the planning board.
Well, if it's big, I saw them to say, yeah, if it's something dramatic, but
Something dramatic happened.
I would think at the sketch plan or schematic plan that we're at, that
It's gonna be good.
most things will be minor, and it would be just things of,
Written
again,
recommendation by the town engineer confirming they have
Pipes.
reviewed the application.
head wall versus a FES versus a yard inlet versus, I'm trying to think of anything. It's just not
So
a,
So it says the plans meet the intent of the UDO regarding stormwater flow and SCM facilities. So,
They meet the intent.
yeah, and again, now if you're
Not on a
running,
preliminary basis, they meet the intent.
yeah, All right. I think
It's the same thing.
was
pretty much, I think.
what, Greg, were you putting in preliminary because of a situation where an unforeseen circumstance comes up like we've talked about?
So, yes, so if the wording is deliberate to say that if the pond is exactly, 667 square feet or whatever on a plan, and turns out that in the future, based on actual engineering, it has to be 700 square feet, for instance, that's not violating the intent. That's not a change that needs to come before you guys. That happens all the time.
Right.
We have actual circumstances in this town right now where people say, I'm looking at the plan that the town council approved for this SCM pond, and this pond looks differently than it's built today. And you're not allowed to do that. And that's not true.
We're missing.
Yeah, I mean, a plan is a
That's not
plan.
what I'm talking
A
about.
plan is
No, I'm
a,
just saying though, it's the.
plan is an idea,
similar.
and you actually have to go out there and build the thing, and there might be adjustments.
There will be adjustments to SCMs in almost every circumstance. And
But the
so,
level of schematic that we have done has a proportionately shown pond versus the little color coded pond in this area for
Chairman-
drainage features.
yeah, Chairman Falk is correct in that previous applications just drew like a little squiggly circle. And so this is where the pond's going. And it was not even remotely realistic of the current circumstances. They rushed it in just to get the application in, just to get zoning entitlement. And so we very clearly through our Appendix 2B have required actual studies and analysis of these ponds so that what you guys are looking at is a realistic proposal.
Yeah, we talk about preliminary drainage stormwater management plan, wetland protection plan, proposed details of stormwater structures and flumes, preliminary that's easements. But my understanding is not just related to this specific thing. We're saying we want more homework done up front.
Yes, but it's truly still is a preliminary basis. He's not going to tell us whether head wall versus FES until you get to the
And
map
I
or something.
agree with that. I'm just trying to,
So
And Bill, to the point of what this is designed to do, what I'm looking at is, this is not something that we tell the developer, okay, you're gonna pay for one preliminary review here, then we're gonna approve it, and then it's gonna go through another review by Labella, and you can pay for that, and then it's gonna go to town council, or it's gonna go to town
No,
council,
all
and it's
right,
gonna go to another Labella review. This is the review in this process. That's what it is.
and I agree with that. And I just, is this wording, is that the wording that everyone understands? I mean, I agree with you totally on that. So, and I'm fine if people feel this is what you get from this text.
It was written to provide a degree of administrative flexibility if things change based on future engineering information, but it is still a engineering checklist item on your.
I don't think removing that changes Bob's review
Review.
or thorough of what he's trying to get us at this
Okay,
level.
Yeah.
And I do believe that Bob is probably going to be of the mindset of others that at this level, at this stage, he knows where he needs to review and confidence should lie on, hey, this either works or it doesn't work. And if it doesn't, here you go, team. Y'all figure out making it work due to X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
I agree with that. So I just have one question. I don't want to get nitpicky here. We're putting it as B58. All of our stormwater Exhibit 2B items are around, I think, 35, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Would it be beneficial to make this B35A so it's right in the section with other stormwater requirements versus at the tail end of the, I'm thinking you don't want to resequence, renumber everything.
Right.
It's just a thought. I can go either way on it. but-
I anticipated
ambivalent.
you saying that. I think that is more than fair. It just requires a little more formatting of the chart.
That can be administratively
Yeah, is it, you're not sure how to insert a line there? Is that what we're saying?
No, we
The
can.
other thing we
He's
do.
saying
I-
structure the.
I just put it in there in the simplest format. I agree with what you're saying. We can do that.
Okay, so,
So before I let this go, before I let go of this bone, we have a councilman sitting out there. At the last council meeting, I heard specifically the ability of council to require 2 reviews by LaBella. A preliminary review, yes, and we can get back and listen to the recording.
I could not tell you one way or the other. All I know is personally, I want to see this been reviewed by LaBella and that it's either fits or
It fits or doesn't, that's my thing. I don't want there to be additional burden
Right.
on double up on the development of that.
I view this like the TIA.
Yep, I think we got a handle, dude. We got a motion for this one.
You want to make the motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the text as submitted.
With the B35A?
B58 being modified by staff at
B58 being modified by staff.
I'll second that.
Fallbrook's place. All right, all in favor? All right, all opposed? Okay,
And that's
Approved.
what it was.
huh?
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Well, I didn't see his
I
hand, so I
didn't see
wanted
it,
to
yeah.
ask if it was.
Yes. But abstention is a positive vote, right? If you don't vote.
If you don't vote, it's a
I
positive.
feel like I'm constantly learning. All right, moving to the next one. The item C, discussion and possible recommendation of text amendment 2026-4, section D 9117D. A, agriculture uses, chicken coops. Take it away, Greg.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the planning board. One guy stood up before council and said, I can't put a chicken coop on my property due to the setback limits imposed by the UDO. He actually had a point. So 150 feet setbacks on both the side and rear, because that's to be located in the rear yard, is quite imposing. Let's say that a lot is 120 feet wide. That effectively prohibits the use of that coop. He would not be able to use his property for that use. And so it's not quite a taking, but it severely limits the application of that particular ordinance. The way that ordinance reads is it incorporates that structure as well as things holding animal waste. So the intention is if you have a building that's holding something that stinks, it should be really far away from your neighbors. That might not necessarily apply equally to something with pigs and whatever and chickens. So because that guy could not build a chicken coop on his property under the way it was written, the language was revised to reflect how horses are set back, which is 60 feet. So it's not an arbitrary number. The setback, it would reflect what the horse barn setback is in regards to the UDO. There were some public comments about additional restrictions on the number or the type of animals. We can certainly entertain that. I'm just trying not to overcomplicate the situation. I'm just trying to reduce the burden on a particular property owner, reducing the setback from 150 feet to 60 feet.
All right.
Quick question. Couldn't he have come in for a variance? Isn't that kind of what our variance, as opposed to the one that we just saw, which is not really a variance due to our zoning, that this actually would be a variance because of restrictive zoning?
Technically, it's a zoning issue.
I think he
So-
could, but it doesn't necessarily mean he would get it. And this still doesn't mean he could get it. You're just saying,
Yeah, I think to Greg's point is that we know we have chickens everywhere. To clean this up 150 feet on the 20,000 square foot lot, you're not putting a chicken coop anywhere per
Right.
the agriculture use
probably on a
code.
40,000 square foot lot.
40,000
Right,
square foot lot, I
but-
mean, unless it's a flat chicken.
Definitely go just one step further. And I it's unfortunate, but I am familiar with these chicken urban backyard hen ordinances with other municipalities and survey. And I would say now would be a good time to put a cap on that number, no rooster, clearly defined, and then what our setbacks are for chicken coop. And
The question I would have on that, is that something that belongs in UDO or just in the general ordinances?
Or
But the details about how many chickens, the cleanliness of the coops, the size, the number.
We limit horses.
I got Matthews, this is Matthews' ordinance, and I hate to use somebody else's ordinance, but we just don't have one.
well,
So,
they make you get a permit though.
That's right. They make you
Yeah,
get
we're
it.
not. I don't think we're trying to go to the level of a permit. I just think we're trying to codify in the UDO a little bit of room for these homeowners to be able to put a little chicken coop. And even some now have those movable ones where they just slide it so it gets a little grass. They keep moving it. But before it becomes a problem
Well, I'll tell
with
you-
neighbors, we kind of codify that you can have it. It needs to be 15, 20, whatever off of them setbacks, and maybe
Well, this one says 60 feet off the property line.
That's what this is saying.
So that kind of really, that means
Yeah, I don't know
80
that.
or 60 basically, right?
So usually these things are, from what I see, are due to lot size and proportionate to a lot size. So normally, in most areas, if you've got less than 20,000 square feet, you might not be allowed to have backyard chickens.
If
They
you've
don't
got-
want it on your neighbor's yard, nor
if
being
you-
You can't
close.
get 60 feet off the property line. on 20.
At 60, you can't, but I'm saying most of these other urban hens
Yeah.
give you 15, give you
Yeah.
10.
Yeah, 25 was Matthews.
If you've got a
25.
4-acre
Yeah,
parcel,
then it's
4-acre
a
lot,
different. Then you can actually, and most of them have it proportionally to how many acres and how many chickens you can have.
so then I think the question is that you're trying to address, I'm fine with the 60-foot, the way you've got it written, Greg, is I'm not opposed to saying, all right, max of, I don't know, 6 chickens, no roosters. I mean, to me, it's not a huge issue that's going to make or break the town, but
I think-
Chickens is nothing, though.
No, the chickens aren't the problem, it's the waste is the problem, which stinks. So, I mean, I've had, and it's not HOAs, because HOAs will not allow it, they just won't allow it. It's the lots that are in Union County's purview, or the lots that are in the town's purview, not in an HOA.
I will disagree that most HOAs that is the number one violation, is that they have backyard hens and it's overlooked. And what most people don't realize is if you let it go, then all of a sudden you're mad at your neighbor. You want to go after him having hens, and everybody does. You can't kind of go after that after you've, our neighborhood's one of them. It's against our HOA, but there is a ton of chickens in backyards.
Right, but there was a case that just came, it's astonishing. This case just came across the Supreme Court of North Carolina, where an HOA, the person was saying that their chickens were pets, they had names for them.
It was a Marvin,
That was
actually.
Marvin.
Yeah, they had names for them.
do they take it on the airlines with them to help
So
them
it
calm
went
their
all the way up to the
nerves?
Supreme Court of North Carolina, and they said, chicken is not a pet. So the HOA can ban it if they want. All right, so I mean, they can.
And if the HOA enforces it from the very beginning, they can enforce it throughout their CCRs. But we can't pick and choose when they
Yeah.
want to
Well,
enforce is
this
what
is
happens.
agricultural use. I mean, to me, that's
Which is allowed in our thing.
farm stuff, not pets.
Yeah, but in our zonings, I believe agricultural uses is allowed.
Yeah.
Agricultural
Yeah, it's in
uses
there.
are allowed on every residential
Right.
property,
So the
but
issue is they
you don't
can't
necessarily
fit it.
have enough room.
Yes.
You don't know.
So now do we just fix the room part to begin with and let council find out if they want to limit
I think
number
that-
of chickens
I
and
mean, I think there's a
roosters?
lot more to this than just that.
I'm telling you, I have seen some crazy backyard hen ordinances that really
So
really do this.
since we have a council member here, would you like a much cleaner, well thought out chicken coop ordinance
I'll
or?
say this, I looked at this years ago when I moved here, and the old UDO or whatever, the town ordinance had a 6 chicken, no limit, no rooster thing in it. I got a feeling when it changed in 21 or 22, it was there because I read it.
Okay.
Because I looked at it, because my neighbor had chickens, I wanted to see what was legal. My backyard neighbor has chickens, and 2 or 3 of them across the creek have chickens. One of them has a rooster. My next door neighbor across the street has chickens. They're everywhere in this town. I think we gotta be reasonable with one, You don't want to make everybody illegal in town who has chickens.
Agree.
That's part of my thought too, but we need to be responsible with how they are allowed.
Okay,
You don't want commercial operations.
Right, well, let's just have like.
to get us off the dime, I would propose that we make some edits to this text saying maximum of 6 chickens and no roosters.
Well.
And
I
if
mean,
we
I
get
think-
some flood of feedback from the residents, we can always come and
I
revisit
would
it
say
in
most
future
people
date.
probably have more than 6 chickens.
Oh, yeah.
Greg, did you have a
I have
recommendation
7
on
chickens.
distance
Yeah,
off
go
the
get rid of
sidelines, or
I-
was it up for us to?
I will say that this conversation sounds silly, but every single town and municipality in the United States has what planners refer to as chicken wars, and every town has debated this exact item. So this is not unique to Weddington. However, I don't give too much about chickens.
Should we table this for more research?
Yeah, I think we should.
That was actually my question, because we could pass the,
Y'all need to pass something that, one, is going to be acceptable to people who have chickens in a reasonable manner, but do not.
but you want us to do that as
Well,
opposed
y'all gotta
to,
think it-
as opposed to y'all doing it.
Well, it's got to come to us as a recommendation.
Yeah, and then-
That's what I'm saying, table it and let's do some research.
Yeah, let's do some research, because there's plenty of other ordinances out there reference to chickens. We don't have to match somebody's exact ordinance, but let's make it right for us here at Weddington.
Find what's reasonable for this town. And I mean, the concept of so many per acre or something like that could be reasonable for somebody who's got a big farm and has 20 or 30 chickens. You tell me, I mean, there's people that, own a lot of land and they may have more chickens. I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to make a motion?
Please.
Did you already make a motion?
No, I said I could.
He
This is
said-
just
yeah,
a
he was-
formal.
he was
Give us a-
Sorry.
wound up. ready.
I make a motion that we table this for further research.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the update from town planner and report from April town
We got
council
one
meeting.
more. We got one more text,
Yeah.
917A.
So
I'm out.
thank you, Bill. There was also a recommendation in your packet based on some comments from Bill to amend section D 917A subsection Q tree requirements to change the definition of buildable area to buildable envelope. That's really the substance of it. We've just changed the term. The reason that this would be important is it's stating where you can and cannot remove trees by right when you're developing a piece of property. The intention is that you can clear that building pad or the buildable envelope of a lot, which is your setbacks, which is within your setbacks for a house. So you can clear trees if you want to build somebody a backyard, particularly if it's under 1 acre. But areas that are outside your setbacks, particularly your backyard, you should not be removing trees. This provides several exceptions to that, which would be right-of-way easements, utility and drainage easements, existing ponds, lakes, streams, or buffers, and then it added the recommendation of item V or 5, septic drain fields. And so this is kind of just a
Yeah, if you remember at the last
Text
planning
change.
board meeting, we had this for discussion. And there were some concerns, I think Rusty raised some concerns about buildable envelope, that's where the house is. So we took it offline and basically the subcommittee, which is me, Chris, and Rusty, had some discussions, tried to come to some acceptable wording. And so now this is coming back for the planning board to say, hey, is this acceptable?
I think it's third. Again, I'm gonna speak from my side of the table. Building pad is where you would put a house. So if I go pad stake, building envelope is everything that I've got within that setback to move my house around and make that pad fit. So I
correct.
just want to make sure we're on the same page.
That
of
was
what
that was the issue in our discussion. A month ago.
The issue was, and I went back and did the research and the AIA, if you Google that under AIA, building envelope is the building skin. But then when you look at it from a development standpoint, it says building envelope is the area that the house can sit on. So they basically double defined it. They use the terminology twice. So I don't have any objection to it. I just want to make sure there wasn't confusion.
So this was
from
trying to
the
come up
design
with
standpoint.
a way to address both those issues. And then,
So this would be something that a nice picture would clear everything up.
well, and there is a picture. Jaslyn's already done, I don't suppose you happen to have that. I think what was it, 8A or something like that. And what I just wanted to make sure is whatever wording we end up here, does that tie to her graphic that she put together?
I think that's a great recommendation to take to the town council, is that if this text amendment is affirmatively recommended, that it include that exhibit.
Okay,
Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the text amendment to D917AQ with the inclusion of the graphic that Jocelyn had presented earlier.
And if the graphic is specifically for the building envelope,
Yes.
showing the building envelope.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one quick question?
I don't know if that's allowed.
Okay,
I don't know that that's allowed.
okay. All right.
It's a follow-up for clarity regarding the table of contents. Just want to make sure we're being accurate in what we're looking at.
We can always
I
take
would
that
say, yeah, we'll
question
take that after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple of things I want to ask. So I was hoping you guys would stick around.
So moving to number
Sorry.
8 now, we have update from our town planner and report from the April town council meeting.
So we met for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 5 hours. And the April town council meeting, a lot of things were discussed regarding planning. The Morris Farm subdivision, which is a proposal by Toll Brothers, did not have a public hearing, which is the result of my actions. There was general comments regarding that project. They mainly pertained to accessing a connector street, Bonner Drive, to the north of that project. And so a lot of people who lived on that road objected to the connection, which was discussed as part of your planning board meeting and your recommendation. But there was not any decision, and there legally could not be any decision on the item, so it was tabled. And actually, no, I misspoke. It was not tabled. It was remanded back to the planning board. So you guys will hear this project again probably in May next month. So you guys recommended approval with 7 or 8 conditions. It went to the town council. Town council was very displeased that any conditions were placed on this project in general, and had wanted it remanded back. However, there were also concerns about stormwater, which were very valid, that our town engineer brought up, that Chris brought up, and other members brought up that were not addressed at the time it was brought to the town council. And so, to my understanding, this was when I was out of town on personal leave, which is a separate thing I'd like to talk to you guys about. But while I was out of town, Chris and the town engineer and that applicant met to discuss some of the discrepancies in the conditions that were put in place by this board. It's my understanding that those conditions still have not yet been met. So that's why it's not before you today. They haven't satisfied what y'all were asking for. And so it's not before you here in April. But we are very hopeful that it will be brought before you in May.
If I may, in defense of staff, it is my understanding that that was pulled from the agenda for 3 reasons. One, the timing of getting the notice out. Two, the request of the planning board chairman because of some issues that surfaced about stormwater. And three, because the applicant asked that it be pulled. Am I correct on that?
Thank you, Bill. It's very kind to point that out. Yes,
Yeah, well, I know.
it was never going to be voted on to begin with.
Right.
So-
It's just, I don't want this to turn into a beat up Greg situation. And so there were multiple reasons that was pulled from the board. Okay.
I'm 1,000% confident it never would have been voted on anyway. However, I do accept my responsibility for that. With that said, again, I'd like to put something on record. This project has now been tabled. That project was remanded back to the planning board. I, as planner, wholeheartedly suggest that you waive the resolution that only says one development item can be on an agenda and allow both of these items to come before you in May. These are minor amendments to both of these projects. There's no reason to move one above another, to pick one above another. I feel like both applicants were nearly there, but had some missing pieces that you guys can address in one evening. You're not going to be here till midnight like the town council was. Okay. So I feel like you guys can both address those in May.
I have a question, and I'm not opposed to that. I think that's a good idea. Because they should be rock solid clean when they come to us. My question is, I don't know if it's written policy on the one thing or if us making a resolution. You see what I'm saying?
Yep. I think
Procedurally?
The council passed a resolution
Yeah,
to,
council can't, I'm
So
not
they
sure,
would
I'm
have
not
to-
sure that we can act on
they
that.
would have to.
But we could
suspend
make
that, but
we could make a resolution to the council to do that? Or is this all a moot point?
I'm putting my
I don't.
I'm
know.
putting my foot forward on saying that's the right thing to do. Y'all can do whatever you want, particularly after May.
And I think that would be a request to ask the council to suspend that.
And I think you guys are going to get in some serious
Is that something we
legal trouble if you pick one project over another or move one project over another. That's all I'll say about the matter.
But just for clarification, is our body under the one thing per, or is it?
The resolution addresses the planning board and the town council. It is a resolution, so therefore
on
it's
this
kind of
specific-
enforced by the town council.
on this
but
specific item, or are you?
It's
On all of them?
It's all.
Yeah.
Resolution, if I understand, it was an amendment to the UDO that said the planning board have only, this was town council that did this, so the town could only have one
Okay.
project.
So I guess the chairman could
Yeah,
ask the council if they could rescind that,
no.
Or just suspend it.
suspend it.
and I'm not trying to get you guys in hot water. I don't want you guys to say something you don't want to say right now.
Yeah.
I don't
But
think-
this is my one opportunity to say this. To
I
you.
don't think it's a big issue. I think it's something we can do and the council can say no. I mean, you remember 2 years ago, we had 12, 13, 14 applicants lined up because we had more holes in the UDO than a sieve. And now that we've tightened this thing up, to use the term, we no longer get the tire kickers coming in.
So how would we make this, just make a motion to recommend, or we just ask?
I'm just stating on record how I feel about the matter. I'd recommend you not say anything.
Let me try something here. I'll make a recommendation that we have a special meeting at 6:30, next meeting, and to review one, and then conduct our regular business at 7.
You s-
So what do we review now? What do we review? At the
We have-
special meeting?
We have a
Yeah,
special
we
meeting.
can
to
only have
review
it,
one.
we can only have one at a
Yeah.
time, but if you have a special call meeting at, 6:30
Oh, you need to,
to review one of
a
these
specific
projects, and then we have the regular meeting at 7.
Does that address the issue from a timing standpoint?
Well, yeah.
I like the way you're skinning this cat.
Sorry. I've been, every once in a while here, I'm like, I can't do that. And then I have it. Just hit me.
So
So is that a motion on the table?
It's a recommendation.
Well, and
No.
that's, I mean, the May meeting is Tuesday after Memorial Day. So that's, everybody, the calendar's a little different.
So is it just a matter of say, hey, I agree with your recommendation. It's not a formalized.
You may
Call
make- you may
it in a week.
I
Is
make,
that the announcement timeframe?
Oh,
Announcement
yeah.
timeframe is 48 hours, so.
all right, so I'll make a motion that we have a special meeting at 6:30 on, what day is
May
that?
26th.
Tuesday.
May
Tuesday.
26th. To consider one of the two projects returning to this, and then we have our.
Well, should we determine which one?
I'd say we leave that up for.
Leave that up to, yeah.
That's staff's burden.
They're both gonna get solved. Nobody's gonna hurt over that hour and a half delta. So,
So special meeting at 6:30 and then regular planning board meeting at 7.
yes.
That's a motion?
I would
It's a motion.
second that.
Any
Second.
discussion? Oh, okay.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Also, at the April Town Council meeting, council appointed Taylor and Rusty as alternates to the Board of Adjustment, just so we had that housekeeping done for the next one, May.
Congratulations. That's a heavy lift.
All right, Greg, does that conclude your?
I would like to speak with y'all personally after this meeting concludes, but this is my conclusion of public comments on the matter.
Can we do that? And that's not an official meeting?
I can meet with you guys in bunches of 2 to 3.
Okay.
All right, wraps that up. Let's go to board member comments. We'll start with Bill.
Okay, a lot going on. Not always going the way everyone wants, but I'm a glass half full guy. I think we've made a lot of progress over the last 2.5 years. I think we've made some more progress and clarity at the meeting tonight. And again, as always, I want to thank staff for all their work. And I appreciate you. And that's all I've got.
All right, Steve.
The only thing I got is, I just like, I say, I appreciate you guys on the planning board. I guess the time behind the scenes that you have to take to look at all this stuff and get prepared for all this stuff. I mean, I did some of it today while I was working, so I mean, I know, you guys do it while you're working too, so, I appreciate it. It seems like everybody's prepared for those meetings.
Rusty.
Again, thank you to staff, thank you to everybody that came out tonight, and appreciate you being here.
Likewise, thank you all for being here and being invested in our town, our community, and looking forward to digging into some chicken coop issues.
I will echo the same from everyone. Thank you to everyone that's here. Thank you to staff as always, and a reminder that food trucks are on Friday. Start Friday.
That's right.
I want to thank everyone for coming out. Appreciate, the fact that we have more than one person in our audience most times. I think that's good for the town. I do appreciate the staff and all the hard work that you guys put in. And also, for my fellow members around this table, because you're right, we do put in a lot of work, and I think it does pay off for the town and the citizens, even though they may not always appreciate what we do.
All right, I agree with everyone. Can I get a motion for
Motion
adjournment?
to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank
Let's
you.
take a survey before we all leave. Who has chicken coops here? Oh, I want to know.
And
How
also,
could you?
19